So today we are here with Rebecca Koritz. Rebecca is an activist for children's right to learn in the way that suits them. She has started several independent and alternative educational institutions in Mexico, and she is a former Time to Thriver. And I am so thrilled to have you here, Becca. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Awesome. And I am so glad because today is all about your experience of Time to Thrive. So I want to start off by thanking you for, taking the time to share your journey and your experience of the program.
It's honestly my pleasure. If more can experience what I experienced, I'm just happy to share.
Thank you. That's so great to hear. Thank you for those words. So let's get to it. If you want to, I thought that you could start off by just talking a little bit about who you are, what you do, and why you decided to join the Time to Thrive program.
Oh, absolutely. Well, as you already presented me, I live in Mexico and I'm a former teacher, and I am passionate about children's rights to learn the way they need. And so I'm also a big critique of the school system, the traditional school system. And obviously, there's not a lot of business in this area because there's still very few parents who are interested and who really want to do it. And it's been a really interesting journey for me because my projects that I have started were never really sustainable economically for me. And very quickly, I also realized the need for parent support. I realized that parents, they don't have the knowledge they need in order to be the parents that their kids really need them to be. And so, parallelly with these projects, I started training parents and I started teaching parents. And so, I've gone more and more from those projects that were destined for children to realizing that I really need to work with parents. And that is what I do. And so, I'm having like a very big market because on one hand I live in Mexico, so I have the entire Latin American market with Spanish speaking parents, but I'm also really focused on the Swedish audience. So I have a big audience in Sweden. Um, but all of this is like how do I reach them? How do I make them take my workshops? How do I make them interested in this work? All of these things have been big question marks for me, and I've been working for years uh, and still not really making it, not knowing what was wrong. And so when the opportunity to join Time to Thrive popped up in my reality, I was like, I need this. This is exactly what I need. Plus, the fact that you are focusing on like women business entrepreneurs were just like that was a biggie for me because I have realized during my years in Mexico that I live in a really macho dominated world, and I need to talk to someone who understands me as a woman and my particular needs. So yeah, that's the background.
That's the background. And it's such a huge background, right? Because you're one of these individuals who lives and is driven by this vision of a different kind of society. And,
Yeah.
that whole process to take that big vision, like changing the educational system and making sure that all the kids have, you know, access to a kind of learning that suits them, that is such a big vision. And how to go from making that into concrete dreams and goals, and then from there on start taking those steps, it's such a huge process.
Yes,
So
yes, it is. It
yeah.
is because it's a very fluffy vision, world peace, blah blah blah. But at the same time, I'm a very grounded person and I want to make a difference. I don't just talk. I walk the talk, and I want other parents who really want what I have to offer to to find me and to work with me.
Yeah, exactly. This is such an important topic, why we do the things we do. And your message that I'm hearing now is you wanted to take all of that beauty in your vision and make it available, make it accessible, reaching the people who you want to help,
Yeah,
who you want to support to live a kind of life that they want for themselves and for their children.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So could you, first of all, a side note, I'm so happy that you mentioned this female perspective. I always was a little bit against, well, why should we talk about business in a separate way for women and men? It's not the case really that we need to do that, but I do think that there are some challenges that are specifically that they're more common for women specifically. Not all women have them and not only women have them, but that's why I created Time to Thrive, and that's what I do, what I do, because
Absolutely.
yeah, I mean, I've also lived in societies where there's a huge gender inequality, so that's part of my drive too. So it makes me extra happy to hear that that's something that you were attracted
Yeah.
to in this program. Cool.
Yeah, absolutely. And if I can just mention a little bit about it, just this thing of giving away so much of my work for free because I have this fluffy vision is like, I think, a very typical female trait. A man wouldn't do that. A man would capitalize on his knowledge, whereas I have been like, have it all, and you can't survive like that.
Yeah. No, that's true. So what if you could say something about where you were, like specifically, what were you looking for when you jumped on Time to Thrive, when you jumped into the program? What at what point, like where were you in your business, and what were you actually looking for? What did you need at that point?
Yeah, I was looking for some kind of lifeboat, I think, that could actually hold me up and save me. I wanted to reach more clarity. I wanted to know why I was doing what I was doing and how I could do it in a more professional and effective way, and just find basically a map and probably a compass to go with the map so
Yes.
that I could navigate, in this little lifeboat,
Yeah.
and maybe building it and making it more secure on the way.
That's so cool. I love this metaphor of the journey, of the map, the compass, and the boat. I often have that same image. Like, I know that a lot of entrepreneurs feel that they have no control. They know approximately where they want to go, but it's not maybe super specific. And above all, it's not super specific how the heck they're going to get there. So that's
Yeah,
the whole
absolutely.
point that I hear that you're bringing up, like knowing better. And specifically when you have such a huge vision, like I'm sure that there must have
Yeah,
been things in your business that you have said, okay, I just have to stop doing this and I have to focus on that instead. Like,
yeah,
making those
yeah, yeah.
decisions. That's so
Yeah,
cool.
absolutely. And also the fact that I work towards two markets,
Yeah.
like a Spanish speaking market and a Swedish speaking market. I know that if I would focus on just one, it would probably be a lot easier. But I can't let go of Latin America because this is where I live, and I can't let go of Sweden because that's where I'm from.
So given that, you have to really prioritize within that
Yes.
huge framework, like what is it actually that you're going to be doing?
Yeah.
So could you talk to us a little bit about your journey in Time to Thrive? What was it like? What happened for you during that journey?
Wow, it was really powerful, and I didn't expect it to be. I was full with hopes, but I didn't have any expectations. And so when I remember the first class, and I was just thrown away by the knowledge that you have and that you were sharing, in a way. I was like, oh God, I need to write down everything. And then I realized, oh no, there's actually, this is all, it comes with PDFs. I don't need to write all of this down, but I was still taking a lot of notes, and I was blown away by where we started, that it was so pedagogically constructed. It was really like first step, second step, and it just took me to more and more and more clarity, and it made me feel so empowered. And also every session would come with these questions. And so after every session that was intense per se with all this new information, I had to spend time with the worksheets and answer questions. And I was like, oh God, I know for sure that I would never have done that if I hadn't known that I was going to meet you guys again the coming week. So it was like I felt this whip, like, come on, Rebecca, you can do this. Sit down, just answer the questions. And so it just created so much clarity and commitment. Plus, like it was this also amazing combination where you have all your knowledge and all your experience that you're sharing in such a clear way that creates clarity for me. But then also, like my own process was reflected in the process of the entire group. And to be in an intimate setting where the trust was built little by little with these people that I still have never met in person. But I know that when I meet them, I'm going to hug them so much because it feels like as if we became part of this special club and like a little secret society of women supporters. And that was just, it feels so good. And now I know that whenever I have a doubt, I can just drop a line in the Facebook group and I will have a response within a couple of hours. And people are not only responding, they're cheering me on. And I'm like, yes, I can do this.
Yeah. Yeah. That's so good to hear. You know, there's a couple of things that come to mind when I hear you talk about this. And, you know, you started off by talking about the kind of step-by-step approach. And I'm really happy that you bring that up because for me, this is always something that I talk to my clients about, that we can have all these dreams and visions and we can go out and do all these things, you know, but what often happens is that we run around in this direction and then we do this and then we do that. And then we're so busy, but it's not just because we're busy that we're going to get the results that we want, either if it's about making an impact or making a living for ourselves, hopefully both, right? So I always like to take a few steps back and say, listen, let's just look at your business from the outside for a while and talk about why you're doing what you're doing. And there's really
Yeah, exactly.
right? So that's really a roadmap that or sort of a step-by-step process where we build the foundation. That doesn't have to mean you have to go back 6 months and just work and think and, you know, but what it does mean is that you just take some moment to reflect on some of the really big and powerful questions. And then with that foundation, you can build so much faster and so much easier. So really,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Can I say it felt like having like being in a tiny drone and just be like lift it up and be able to see my entire situation and my whys and everything
Yeah.
like but from above, like having this bird's perspective. And it was extremely valuable. And also because I'm one of these people that have this like urge to do something. I need to get a result.
Yeah.
And so I can see that in the past, I've been doing a lot of things, yes, but maybe they weren't really the things that would lead me to grow my business or reach the audience that I'm actually interested in reaching.
Yeah.
And so like to become clear in my message and stop doing things that are actually a waste of time for me. That has been a big one. So I like right now, like one very clear thing that has happened is yes, last year when I was taking time to thrive, I was working a lot and I was working really hard just to put everything in place with all this new information. But that has led to me now this year actually working only 3 days a week.
Oh,
So that's like a huge benefit. I'm working
yeah.
3 days a week and I've gone from working 7 days a week during more than a decade. And so I'm like, huh? Can I really do this now? Yes, I can, because it's so clearer and it has become extremely obvious that less is more.
This makes me want to throw confetti up in the air and be like, yay, do the wave. Because, what you talk about here is something that I really am passionate about as well, which is what does success look like to you? What does it
Yeah.
look like to me, to this woman, to this woman? We all have our own definitions of success, right? So
Yeah.
for you to have a level of income that you're comfortable with and only working 3 days a week, I mean, that if that's not success, I don't know what is. I mean, it
Yeah,
doesn't have to be the
absolutely.
same for everyone, but I know that from our previous conversations as well, that this has been a huge thing, especially
Yes.
after, like you say, a decade of really working yourself to the bone.
Yeah.
You know, this is a huge result.
Yes, it is. It
So,
is.
and
And
this is
I'm,
also part of the journey, I think. Sorry, I'm going on a little bit,
yeah,
but
no,
part of
go.
the journey is to define that thing, because we can have these ideas. Oh, you have to grow, or you have to make so much, or you have to do this, or you have to be visible here. We don't have to do anything, and I think that's the great privilege of entrepreneurs, and
Yeah.
that's one that we don't always make the most of. But I'm happy that you have done so, because
Yeah.
that's what this result tells me.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I remember also during the process that there was a moment where I realized, or I thought I realized, that being more successful would mean more work. And I actually started panicking. I
Right.
was like, oh my God, I don't want to work more. I don't want to travel more. I don't want to give more. I want less. And I was like, is it even possible? Yes, of course it's possible. It's just about priorities and having that clarity that Time to Thrive created for me, and then counting with your amazing support also during those individual coaching sessions was just like, wow. Yeah, I feel I mean, it's not even been a year. It's almost been a year, but my life now is so different from what it was a year ago.
That's awesome. And if you were to say, Rebecca, if you were to say like this was who I was before, or just when you joined Time to Thrive, and this is who I am today. That was my life then. This is my life now. What's like the biggest shift or transformation that you've seen in yourself and in your business?
I think, I mean, overloaded with stress, with duties, stuff I had to do, didn't see clearly. Like the image I get is like a little bit of a confused hen running around, like picking here, picking there, like trying to focus, but not being able to because of the workload and the stress and the pressure and the acute lack of clarity. And now I'm like, okay, this is Friday, and I am going for an excursion with my son instead of sitting in front of the computer working and thinking that I have to, or that I'm actually going to achieve something by spending more time working. And so I feel so much more clear, at peace. I feel I'm smiling. I wasn't smiling. I had a breakdown. Remember a session I started to cry because I
Yeah,
was so overwhelmed.
yeah.
And I don't cry any longer. Maybe I do, but not because of my work, but
Tears of happiness, right?
yeah. No, and maybe it sounds like too good to be true, but honestly, this has been I was surprised and I was amazed, and I'm like a little bit, like I almost feel a bit embarrassed that I didn't get how good it was before I started it.
Oh my gosh, this now that's we can never know what anything's about until we try it.
So
We have all these ideas, and then we just have to try it. And I'm
yes,
just glad that it worked out for you, and that you found it helpful.
yeah.
Um, Thank you for all those amazing words and for sharing that story, because I truly think that it's a beautiful transformation that you're sharing
Oh
with us.
yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, oh yeah. At some point I was also like, really? Am I gonna do this? It's 10 weeks. And then we have like these sessions, and I don't know if I have time for this. I
Yeah,
felt that. I did feel that.
yeah,
And but honestly, no, it's so worth it. Yes, it's work, but it's a lot of personal work that
yeah,
leads to, if you do the work, it leads to a transformation, definitely. And
yeah.
I saw that in all the participants, and I find that just extraordinary.
That's great to hear, Rebecca. And I think that what you're saying here is so important, because there's like we can never expect to get anything without giving something, and whether it's time or money or both.
Yeah,
But the whole point is you invest in yourself now, in
yeah,
time, in work, in thinking and feeling, and all this stuff.
yeah. And that's why now it makes so much more
Yeah,
sense to me, like Time to Thrive. I am thriving now. I wasn't. I
that's
am thriving.
That's awesome. Now, I just wanted to ask you one last question, and that is if there's one thing you could say to somebody who might be interested in joining the Time to Thrive program, the next round, what would you tell that person?
I would tell that person to just put the doubts aside and do it. Because I've had all the doubts and basically time, etc., and a lot of fear. I have to say, I was afraid of what I was going to find. But it's like you can either stick your head in the sand and never find out,
Yeah.
or you can confront yourself with it and look at it and be like, okay, maybe I've been doing some things not that well, and now I have this amazing opportunity to change that, to shift it, and start working in a completely new way and gain really quick results. Who wouldn't want that? Like, if you don't want that, I would say then you're not committed to yourself and you're not committed to your business. So if you feel you are, why doubt?
Yeah. Yeah, but it's exactly. And it's important what you say about the fears, because sometimes I think that we can, for example, fear looking bad. We can
Yes.
fear getting criticized, that why haven't you done this before? We can fear, you know, bringing things up that means that we will judge ourselves as well. Like, why
Yeah.
haven't I thought of this? Or why have I spent so much time doing that? But the way I look at business like I look at life. It's a journey, right? It really
Yeah,
is a journey.
absolutely.
So there's always room for tweaking in that journey. And if we were
Yeah.
all born with all the answers on how to create exactly the results that we wanted, then,
Yeah.
you know, well, we would be robots. Nobody has a life like
Yeah.
that, where you're born and then you just make one perfect decision after the other. It goes like this, and then a little bit
Yeah.
back and then up and then a little bit down and then,
Yeah.
and so it's just a matter of
Yeah.
being, I think it's important to be kind to yourself as well in that process, because,
Absolutely.
you know, and it doesn't do any good to be beating yourself up.
No,
And
and
nobody,
that's what I felt too, that there was so much compassion in the group.
yeah,
There was no judgment, and everyone is like, little by little, when we started gaining trust, everyone was like, me too, I have problems with this. I
yeah,
don't know how to do this either.
yeah,
And also, obviously, being led by someone who shows herself and who's so open with her own fuck ups, to say so, put it like that,
they're
it,
on
it
you.
really
Yeah.
helps too. It really helps too, because I'm not interested in perfection. I'm really interested in authenticity and that kind of nakedness, like, be real and show ourselves, because that's the only way to actually move from where you are and to move forward.
Beautifully said. And I couldn't agree more. Rebecca, it's been such a pleasure talking to you. I want to thank you for having been part of Time to Thrive. And
Thank you.
I'm so thrilled about your results. And I just wish you an amazing, amazing, calm, focused, successful, and happy journey going ahead. Thank you so much
Thank you
for
so
sharing
much,
today.
Sana. Thank you. It has been a pleasure.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.